It's like a kind of interrogation thing?
Yeah, that's sort of the lighting change, and I thought, please tell us the truth. Yeah.
Cross-examining Romy, right?
Thank you. Can I get you a cup of tea?
Okay.
Yeah. Anything specific?
Oh, I sit in the chair. Do you want to sit next to me? You know, like, I'm very wise. I'm so wise. I can't say. You have no idea.
Okay, I guess I do.
People don't know that.
I know that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah, I know my parents for a while. I'm not.
Oh, looks like somebody brought you a light.
Let's see the light.
Is
It's not really gonna work.
that where you want it, or do you want it pointing that way?
I'm not sure what the point is.
I think it's for that. No,
Where
the
you're gonna put
the screen here shows that it's visible for the recording.
So you turn it off and have
Well,
to see screen.
That was the subject, right?
You said housing.
Oh, much darker.
Kind of
Much brighter. Sorry.
Slightly blinding, though.
Yeah.
Clear,
Yeah. Do you want to get you a
Okay. I love that idea.
So,
I love
but the dark is still visible.
It's actually really good. Is that too bad for you?
It's not blinding. We tried it.
I know you were
like a side.
How's the side lighting?
Side
Very, very theatrical.
It's okay. That's good.
Very artistic.
Just for a bit. It's
too
blind.
In vendors.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you happen to know? I didn't want to get yours done. It's like this process. If you hear this way. One moves that side, and then we can
Start if you, unless you want to start.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at you all class because I can't look at this way for a lot.
Yeah, that's all right. It's nice to meet you.
All right.
Sashi Puki Jishin Metokcham Rira Lingshin Yindegam Padi Sange Shindu Miteguargi Dropin Namdashin La Chiparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Ninyatayami Sange Chidang Zaki Chobnam La Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Jinyengi Petanam Ki Rola Benjir Sange Drupasho Sange Chidang Zaki Choknam Nam Jamchu bardu dapni gyapsuchi Daki jinyen gi petanam ki Drola panjir sange driparsho Sange chidang zaki jognam lam Jamju bardu dakni gyapsuchi Daki jinyen gi petanam gi Drola banjir sange driparsho.
So please sit comfortably for a few moments. Meditation with your spine straight, and eyes gently closed. Just do a breathing meditation, being aware of the sensation of your breath passing the tips of your nostrils. Count the cycles of breathing, one exhalation, one inhalation, being around, starting with exhalation. And try to get to 21 without having your mind interrupted by thoughts or being drawn out of awareness of sounds and activity. Just stay single pointed in your concentration on the sensation at the tips of your nostrils. In your mind, call out to the holy being that you feel closest to and ask them to come and join you here. You can feel their presence or visualize them glowing in light in the space in front of you. Feel their goodness in your heart and their holiness and purity in your heart. Offer them your goodness and purity. Ask them to guide you and teach you and bless you to achieve all of your spiritual goals. 4-week olds following, of course. And see them coming close to you, very close to you. Feel them near you. Okay, relax the space above your head, become smaller. Facing forward, flowing in light. Joining into the front line. Small, glowing, or being at the top of your head. And feel and see them there. Close to your crown. Almost as if you can feel the vibration there. Well, thank you for coming, all beings. Homage to all holy beings everywhere. We're on the 6th class tonight of this LOJONG course. There are 3 more classes. There are only 10 classes in this series, not 11. So tonight we're going to do the first part of another LOJONG. We'll finish it next class. And then we'll have the 7th and 8th classes on wheel knives. The 7th class, the second half of this LOJONG. 8th and 9th classes will be on the wheel knives, and then the 10th class will be a review. And that will be that. Okay. So we started talking, at the end of last week, I started presenting the 18 pledges to help develop a good heart. And we kind of rushed through it at the end, we kind of really late and kind of jammed through it. So these are 18 advices from this LOJONG Luma, which is 7-point LOJONG, right? Very famous 7-point LOJONG. And the first law, there are rules, you could call them rules, laws, things to do if you want to really be a LOJONG practitioner, if you really want to develop a good heart, if you really want to practice cultivating loving kindness, right? What's the point of LOJONG practice? Why do you do a LOJONG?
To develop a good heart.
Bodhicitta, right? Good heart, compassion, bodhicitta, bodhisattva activities. And the whole point of this is to develop the compassion side, right? We have a lot of teachings on the wisdom side, and developing wisdom, and talking about emptiness and perceiving ultimate reality, and then there are teachings and techniques and methods on the compassion side to develop compassion and bodhicitta, right? In our Mahayana practice. So all of these different LOJONGs are methods to cultivate that. Right? And so if you want to be a compassionate person, a loving person, a bodhisattva loving person, it requires training typically. Ordinary person requires training and discipline. And so here are 18 pledges to help you do this. The first is keep to the 3 laws. Are on the right side of the road? No, not those laws. Okay. These are 3 sets of vows. Okay, when you start to practice LOJONG, we talked about it in previous classes. Right? There are all these mystical lines, right? Remember some of the mystical things.
Return to the land of Iz.
Yeah. It's kind of like Oz, but not quite, right?
Misspelled.
So there are all these seemingly mystical lines, which have a very logical explanation and commentary, but very readily misunderstood and mispracticed by people, especially over the centuries. And so the first pledge here is to never contradict what you've committed yourself to once you start your LOJONG practice. So that means you can't be some kind of like mystical, crazy LOJONG practitioner who's like, oh, I don't need my 3 sets of vows. What are 3 sets of vows?
Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, Tantra.
Yeah, there are 3 sets of ethics. What are the point of ethical vows? The point of ethical vows are to help us to behave ethically, virtuously. Right? kind of compassionately. The vows are to keep, or vows help us restrain ourselves from bad behavior.
But also to avoid harmful action, which would bring on negative, I don't know,
Sure. Yeah.
travel to.
Yeah. Yeah, we're restraining ourselves from negativities and negative karma and harmful actions so that we don't collect that negative karma. Were you going to say something?
Yeah. So do we have to have bodhicitta before you take your bodhisattva?
Do you have to be a bodhisattva before you go?
Or to cheat.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying this seems like it's kind of like the chicken or the egg.
But that's why there are two sets. That's why there are two levels of vows. There are aspiring. There's two levels of bodhisattva. There's an aspiring bodhisattva who aspires to help everyone, and there's an engaging bodhisattva who actually makes efforts to try to help everyone. So when you take bodhisattva vows, you're not vowing to be a perfect bodhisattva. You're vowing to aspire to bodhicitta, and you're vowing to make efforts to help everyone and be compassionate towards everyone. So it's the action of taking the vows and keeping the vows that leads one to actually become a bodhisattva. You see, so the vows are the path to full bodhisattvahood, bodhicitta. So like that. So so people read these mystical LOJONG lines and they start acting like a crazy yogi and they're like, oh, I can do anything, it doesn't matter, In fact, if you're a true LOJONG practitioner, you're always thinking about how you can serve others and how you can help others and how you can put others first, right? I can get away with anything, right? I can do whatever I want because I'm a crazy LOJONG yogi, right? So that's really the point. So it's you're promising to act totally backwards from the world in a way. The world is self-interested. Everyone in the ordinary world, is by and large trying to get things for themselves at other people's expense, right? How can I get ahead? How can I look after myself? And they're not primarily thinking about how can I serve others and how can I help others and how can I have a positive impact on everyone, right? So you can't break your lifetime vows, whether it be the freedom vows, right? The 10, basically avoiding the 10 non-virtues. Right? You can't break your bodhisattva vows, and you can't break your higher vows or secret vows. So being a crazy LOJONG yogi means that you're actually taking care of other people, in opposite of one's impulse and ordinary behaviors of the world. So this is actually a review of last class, so I'm going to go through it a little bit quickly so we can get out the material from this class. Please don't be shy about jumping in. The second one is never endanger yourself. Don't place yourself in danger. What does that mean? It means in your LOJONG practice, in your attempts perhaps to be a crazy yogi, you don't endanger yourself physically. It doesn't work to just say, I'm going to give everything away and go live on the street and be a wandering ascetic and life is grand. So it's that we'll work for other people and help people in every way we can. And if we say, I'll spend all my money and give all my things away and be homeless, you don't really have a base to do that, right? And to be a successful spiritual practitioner, one needs a stable base and a solid base. If you're going to meditate, you need a place to meditate. You're not going to be able to meditate in the back alley under the BQE or something. It's not going to generally work. In the winter or in the rain or whatever it might be. So to be some kind of really committed spiritual practitioner requires common sense. I mean, life is very precious, our body is very precious, and we have to provide a reasonable basis to be able to study and practice, right? So, and that doesn't mean being extravagant. You get some modest place, some reasonable place that's quiet, that's affordable, where one doesn't have to consume your entire life energy to pay for things. You can have time to practice, you have time to rest, you can have time to engage in your spiritual disciplines. So it's not like I'm some crazy yogi, I'll just jump into the middle of the battle and if they stab me it's okay, because I'm trying to help somebody. It's not like that. You have to protect yourself, you have to protect your body, you have to try to help other people. In a common sense, reasonable way where you're not endangering yourself. That's it. So Number 3, don't discriminate between people. So this is simply, I mean, in a way it's obvious, right? It's easy to help people we like. Not so easy to help people we don't like, right? I mean, it's not just helping them, it's discriminating even in terms of how you think about them. Now, if you're around a group of friends or in the Dharma community and you're like, oh, they're having a little affliction, it's okay, we'll be supportive, we'll be understanding, we'll help them, we understand, that they're trying to be a good person. And then you get to work, and it's like, your boss has no affliction, and you're just, like, pissed off, and talking about them to your coworkers, and slandering them, and all the rest. So it's not this thing of like, well, I'll practice with them because it's easy, and I won't practice with them because it's hard. I like them, so I'll be compassionate towards them, and I don't like them, so I won't be compassionate towards them. Right? So there's no discrimination between sentient beings, right? It's not like I only help flies, but I don't help frogs, right? Or whatever it is. It's not like that. So you can't discriminate in that way. Okay? Number 4, change your mind and say stay the same. I like this one, I mean, especially on a spiritual path. Sometimes along the way, you meet people who are really like on a trip, they're really caught up in the trip. They got a lot of ostentation perhaps, and they put them on a good show, and cool, flashy, flamboyant things, and doing like ritually mudry things, That's not the point, right?
Are you making fun of me?
Never mind. So, Kadapa rule, Kadapas are great. They're very straightforward. Kadapas say, work inside, stay the same outside. Your work is inside. Okay? Not to be doing anything on the outside for anybody else. Not putting on any kind of show for anyone else, So your mind has to change, and understand that if we don't change our mind, that die an ordinary death, lose everyone and everything that we have, and it's suffering along the way, right? And everyone's in the same boat. So there's a way to stop that. There's a way to stop one's suffering. There's a way to stop one's death. And there's a way to help other people stop their suffering and their death. And that's to change the nature of your being, the nature of your mind. Right? And so the focus is to work on that. And so the people around you should just be like, yeah, I think she's nice. She's a nice person. But they don't know that you're like engaged in some very deep, profound LOJONG practice where you're actually giving happiness to every person you pass in the street. And you're in your mind, removing the suffering of every person you meet. They're just like, oh yeah, how do you that? You're around there. That's all. No, they don't know. They don't understand, and they don't need to. And that's the point, right? You don't advertise. I mean, you could be working for years and years and years on LOJONG practice, and no one would ever know it, right? They would never guess, except for the, kind of anonymous goodness. And that's the Kadapa's position. The Kadapas say you should be a good person anonymously, without advertising, without broadcasting. So, it's not like, oh, I'm this lineage, I'm that lineage, I'm a Buddhist. It's like nobody needs to know. It's just you're radiating goodness, you're manifesting goodness. You're an exemplar of that, right? So, take care of the people around you and spreading goodness everywhere you are. Kadapa say you should be like a butter lamp under a pot. These big clay pots, big Indian clay pots. They say you should be like a lamp burning brightly inside a pot. Nobody can see the light that's inside, but it's there, right? So it's all inside. So, okay. Number 5, speak not of what was broken. Basically saying, don't talk about other people and their faults. If other people break their vows or their behavior or their smile or doing something inappropriate, it seems perhaps, don't gossip about it. Right? Don't judge them. Everybody's got stuff, especially in the spiritual context. You need a spiritual teacher, perhaps, and everything's so beautiful in the beginning. It's like they're glowing and they're radiant and they're wonderful and they're holy and they can do no wrong. They're high realized being, and then and you notice they start to pick their nose, and then you notice that they like slurp their food and have stains on their robes and, you know, maybe doing some things that don't seem to make much sense. And you don't know, right? I mean, we just don't know what's in someone's mind. The point is to recognize that the practice is inside of us, right? It's not about someone meeting our expectations or, you know, or fitting our picture of things. Yeah.
It reminds me of advice from Atisha's heart. He said, don't look for faults in others, look for faults only in yourself, and when you find them, purge them like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can see somebody, there could be somebody, you know, knocking someone out on the street, you know? And you think, that's a horrible person, you know, who's mugging them. And probably, you know, there's some omniscient being who sees that, you know, 3 minutes from now they're going to walk in front of a bus and get killed, you know? So they're just delaying them from that. We don't know, we can't judge. You know, but as a bodhisattva, you know, you have to try to engage at the level of the activity and help a person without judging. Right? So this is speaking of don't judge, you know, don't judge other people's actions. Can't judge other people's minds. The only person whose practice you can be sure of is your own. The only person's mind you can be sure of is your own. Sometimes you can't really be sure of that, right? Sometimes you look at your own mind and it's like, not so sure. Yeah. So it's like that. You know, you don't know that they're not a holy being, that they're not doing something very, very special. So, and there are a lot of stories in the scriptures like that. The Jataka tales, you know, Lord Buddha, you know, typically there's his disciples that are having some kind of problem. You know, somebody's judging somebody, somebody's criticizing somebody. You know, and they'll tell them a story and say, you know, there was this bodhisattva. I remember we talked about it in the prior class. You know, it was in the monastic setting, and one bodhisattva went out into the lay population and started teaching, and another of the sangha criticized him severely, you know, for going out and mixing with the lay people inappropriately, he thought, and so you know, he really severely chastised him and castigated him. So then, you know, the Buddha says, you know, I judge this other person, don't make the same mistake. You know, as a result of judging this person, you know, I had 1,000 rebirths as a dog and 1,000 rebirths in hell around him, you know, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it was me. I know the results. Don't do it. You know, I had the experience, and I know for a fact what happens when you do that. So, you know, the Buddha describes the things that happen to him as kind of morality films. Like, they're actually like horror stories. They market them nowadays as children's stories. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. You know, the Jataka films are like kids' stories, but the Buddha actually told them this, like, I guess it would be the equivalent of horror movies in our, you know, in our time. You know, it's like, you do this is what happens.
What are they called?
Jataka.
Jataka.
J-A-T-A-K. So, you know, typically it's when his disciples are fighting or something like that. And he whips out a Jataka tail and says, woe unto you. Right? Okay. Number 6, never worry about what they're doing. Right? Don't worry about other people's practice. Right? They meaning other people. Right? It's very typical again in like an organization. It's like, wow, I didn't see so-and-so meditating, you know, regularly. He doesn't seem to be like a very good yoga practitioner. You know, she doesn't seem to be keeping her vows very well, and, you know, blah, 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 right? Focus on yourself. Right? I mean, it's like, oh, I saw Hector, you know, breaking this vow. I mean, you may as well say to them, you know, can I fill out your vow book for you? Right? It's like, can you just hand me your vow book? You can fill out the vow, and I can write it in the book here for you, please, since you're clearly not keeping your vows, right? I mean, it's not appropriate, right? You wouldn't do that to somebody, would you? No, I mean, so you shouldn't think the thought. You wouldn't speak that to someone, you shouldn't think the thought either. So it's like that, okay? Okay, so number 7. So worry about your own practice is number 6. Number 7, rid yourself of the biggest affliction first. Identify your own worst mental affliction. So what's the